Hey guys, it's Wendy. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is going to be another video in my hashtag Breaking into Tech series, in which I attempt to give advice to people who are interested in breaking into the tech industry. So I do work in the tech industry. If you want a more in-depth story about how I got here, then check out my last video in this series. I'll put it right here somewhere. While I was in school, I worked at my college's career planning center, so I was really able to see from the inside what employers are looking for specific industries. So using that information as well as talking to alumni and my own research, I was able to luckily find a job in this industry. And today I want to share 6 tips so that you can also find a job in the tech industry. Keep in mind, I was applying to jobs that were more on the business side of things. So if you're interested in data science or software engineer jobs, just know that a lot of these tips do still apply, but I am talking from the perspective of somebody who did not apply to those jobs. So my first tip is, before you dive in headfirst, before you start applying, sit down and brainstorm a list of companies, brands, and products that you use on an everyday basis and love. This will allow you to start thinking about the types of companies that you want to apply to. And I found that companies that I had personal experiences with, I had a much easier time writing my cover letter and showcasing my interest in the cover letter and then also the interview. If you genuinely love a company, you'll be able to speak way more passionately and authentically about why you want to work there. So brainstorming a list is just an easy way for you to kickstart your application process. So my second tip is, don't ignore these smaller tech companies and startups as well as contract roles. Now, to be completely candid, it is very, very hard for a new grad to find a job in a big tech company if they're not applying to computer science related jobs. When I was looking into the bigger tech companies, oftentimes the only roles that they would offer to new grads were software engineer jobs or data scientist jobs. But smaller companies, in particular startups, will have a lot more opportunities available. For startups, that's simply just because they just need more people working at the company. The best way I found to discover small startups is to first narrow down the location that you're interested in working at. So let's say you're interested in working in San Francisco. Just Google San Francisco startups and tons of lists will come up. Another thing I noticed when I was applying to jobs in the tech industry as a new grad is there are a lot of jobs available on the business side of things for new grads that are contract roles. Now, a contract role basically just means it's a short-term role. Normally, your contract will span somewhere between 6 months to a year. After that, the hope is if you perform well, you'll be able to be converted full-time. However, it's not a guarantee, so there is a possibility that you will be let go after the contract is up. Now, this might seem a little bit scary, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door, especially if you make connections at the company. It's very possible that you will be able to be converted full-time, and if not, you are still able to meet tons and tons of people in the company that you might run into later on in life. I've seen a lot of operational contract roles or design contract roles, social media roles that new grads actually have the qualifications to be able to apply for, but they are short term. There are definitely a lot of pros and cons with being a contractor though, and it's just something to think about when you're looking into roles. So number 3 might be my most important tip, and it is to network. Network, network, network. As much as a lot of people don't want to admit, networking is actually a very, very important part of the job application process. And I know it can be kind of scary and intimidating, but I have found that people are always more than willing to sit down and talk about themselves and their jobs, especially if they are an alumni from your school. That was actually my main way of networking my senior year. I would reach out to alumni who were working in the tech industry. 99% of the people I reached out to were more than willing to chat with me, and a lot of them actually went above and beyond to send me a referral link to an opportunity that I could apply to, or just pass along my resume personally to HR. Now, the way that my career planning center described networking to me is that it's actually very, very difficult from a recruiting perspective to pick and narrow down candidates. So anything that makes their job easier, they will take. And if that means it's somebody within the company that is vouching for another candidate, or if they just get passed along a resume from a very hardworking and proficient employee of a candidate that went to the same school as them, they're probably going to look at that resume a little bit harder and longer than a bunch of other strangers' resumes. You reaching out to alumni at a company is actually making the recruiter's job easier. I will say that many of the opportunities I got interviews for and ended up getting full-time offers with did have an alumni working at the company. Some of the alumni I just simply had a phone call with. Some actually referred me and passed along my resume. I obviously don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I definitely believe that the alumni at least helped me to get my name out there and my foot into the door. Now, my fourth tip goes along with the last one and is to use LinkedIn. LinkedIn will be your best friend during this whole application process. So LinkedIn was actually my method of choice when trying to find people to network with. So if you're trying to find alumni to reach out to and you're having trouble, this is what I would recommend. Go on LinkedIn, search your college. Once you find your college, click the button See Alumni. After that, you can apply a variety of filters to find the alumni that suit your interest or area. You can look up alumni by their graduation date, the area that they work in, their industry. This is probably the most helpful tool on LinkedIn, and a lot of people don't know about it. So my fifth tip is to utilize the resources that your college is already providing. A lot of schools will actually have their own job database in which alumni will actually reach out to the college to tell them about opportunities that are available at their company that they want those students at that college to be able to apply to first. So it's definitely a very curated platform, and a lot of thought does go behind it, and it's the easiest place to start when looking for jobs. Also, utilize your college's career planning center. I know a lot of people like to think negatively of their own school's center, but career planning centers often do offer a lot of helpful resources. My own career planning center, we would take people's LinkedIn headshots for free. We had a mock interview program where you could practice interviewing for a specific industry. We had organized trips to companies in the Bay Area. If you can, try to form a personal relationship with the advisors at the center. I was able to form very personal, close relationships with the advisors, and they all knew my interests and types of jobs I was looking for, so that when a job came across their plate that fell in line with my interests, I would always be the first person they thought of. Now, the last tip applies to once you actually get that interview, and it might seem a little bit obvious, but it is to research and read up on the company that you're actually interviewing for. What a novel concept. You would be surprised to how many people actually just go in somewhat blindly. Whenever I had an interview coming up, I would treat it like it was a test. I would study up on the company, read every written resource available on the internet about that company. I would go through their website, read up on their mission statement, their goals, new features that were just launched if it was an app. Would highly recommend the website TechCrunch to read up on what's just going on in tech in general. I definitely think that recruiters can tell who is actually applying to a role because they genuinely are interested in the company and who's just applying to the role because they just want to work in tech. And I really do think it makes all the difference if you're able to personalize your answer to the company that you're interviewing for. All right, so those are gonna be my tips for this video. I hope to provided you guys with some insight. A lot of these tips don't specifically apply to finding a job in the tech industry. They could apply to finding a job in any industry, but I think that these are really important tips for somebody who wants to break into the industry. They're tips that I wish I had known earlier and had to learn along the way. If you have any other questions or ideas for videos in this series, then please leave them down below. And with that, I will see you next time. Bye.